Alrighty, hey, what's going on? Nick here, Books Are Sick, another YouTube video. Here you go. And this is going to be about my 5 favorite books from last year. Now, I'm not talking about last year as in 2023, I'm talking 2022. For those that are new here, I just started reading books in 2022. Last year, and kind of midway through the year as well. I had never been a book reader, never interested me, never had a care to do it, and then kind of just randomly started doing it. My wife's a big reader, and I got right into it and loved it. And so I only read about 20. What was it, like 26, 27 books last year? But I wanted to go through my 5 favorites, the ones that I thought hit me the most. And, I didn't really read any bad books from last year, I would say. Like, in fact, I was thinking about this the other day. I don't think I've read many books that I'm like, I hate this. I've had a few DNFs, and I'll probably make another video on, the books that I've DNF'd so far in my reading career. But, this one's going to be about my 5 favorites from last year. You got them here. This is probably like spoilery. You can probably see that. I can't really tell. But we're going to get into that. Before we do, though, I just wanted to share this copy of a sweet copy of The Stand by Stephen King that someone named Dana sent me. Look at how sick that is, eh? Oh, I forgot. There you go. Oh, yeah. It's so pretty. Gold edges, hardcover, just heavy as can be. I think this is my heaviest book. And I don't even think it's close, actually. This is, how many pages is this? This is so many pages. 1,153 pages. The audiobook for this is about 50 hours. This is what I'm currently reading. And I'm trying to be done this by the end of December. So I've got 11 days. I really don't think that's going to happen at this point. Wish me luck, but that's the goal. And so, yeah, thank you again to Dana. So kind of her. I did want to just show you the inside of here as well. It's got these crazy, like, biochemical symbols. Just awesome. And also, I did want to shout out Kayuli Rare Books. This guy's awesome. He is a rare book seller. From, I can't remember where, but he's got an Instagram page. I'll put a thing here. Kayuli Books. Just such a cool guy. I've gotten some great stuff from him. He actually sent me, I should grab it. He sent me this great copy of The Fault in Our Stars, just because. He was like, hey, can I send you something? Wah. And it's signed by John Green. And isn't that cool? He knew that I loved this book. I read this one this year. I loved it. I know this is like, I don't know if that's embarrassing to be like, man, I love The Fault in Our Stars. This book really made me like feel the stuff that it hurts, So yeah, I was really excited to get that. Anyways, Kayuli Books. I've gotten a few more things from him since. One of them I can't show you yet because it's a Christmas present and it is so sick, but I'll share that after Christmas in another video. I cannot wait for you to see what it is. It's wild. It's so cool. That one, I don't know if I'm going to share this one. I'm not going to share this one because it's got a word in it and I don't know if YouTube's going to be like, so I'm not actually going to share that one. But I got a first edition of Jurassic Park by Michael Crichton. I actually haven't read this book, but I've heard that it's just so fun. And I love Jurassic Park. You know what I mean? My wife and I friggin' love Jurassic Park. It was like our comfort movie. You know what I mean? We used to watch it all the time. So, yeah. That's cool. Yeah, anyway, I'm going to share the really cool stuff in another video. But again, super cool Instagram page that guy has if you're into rare books and just kind of books in general. Kayuli Books. Awesome guy. Okay. So we're going to get into the 5 favorite books from last year. I'm excited. Let's do this. I don't know what I'm going to start with. Like, this is not going to be like a list like this is number 5, this is number 4, or do I do that? I could do that real quick, actually. You know what? I already kind of know where they list, so I'm going to do that. Number 5. I'm going to live rank these, okay? Number 5 is the top one. A Song of Achilles. I loved A Song of Achilles. I know this is like, I think this is what a lot of people say is like a book talk book. And I think they mean that in a negative way or something. You know what I mean? Like, That book got popular because of TikTok. So it sucks. You know what I mean? I would imagine that's true in some cases, but for me, I found some amazing books through TikTok. In fact, some of my like most favorite books that I've read so far in my reading life have been via TikTok, and they've been awesome. So I don't think being a book talk book's necessarily a bad thing. And in this case, it wasn't for me. I love this book. I don't know Greek mythology at all. You know what I mean? I don't know anything. I haven't even really seen Troy. You know what I mean with Brad Pitt. I haven't even really seen that until recently, and didn't love it, but it was okay. This book, though, beautifully written. Madeline Miller has just a really unique kind of way with words. Like, I don't know how to really describe it properly, but it's very clean, just like very clean and to the point, but very nice to ingest. You know what I mean? There's no fluff in her words, and I really appreciated that. Again, I don't know a lick about Greek mythology, but I really appreciated the story. I thought it was beautifully done, and I actually, I did read another one. I was going to say I haven't read anything else by Madeline Miller, but I did read that really short story she had, Galatea. I bought that. It's really short. I read it on the toilet, like one toilet session, and I read the whole thing. And that was really good too. And it's likewise with her writing, just really beautiful, really fun to read. And she's what's that other one that she has? That's what is that other one that she has that's really popular? She has another one. Oh, guys, come on, help me. Scream at your screens right now. It is. Do I look it up? I'm going to look it up real quick. Sorry, bear with me. This is the fun thing about YouTube. Like, I can just kind of, I don't have to worry about being in like a 1.5 minute time crunch. I can just kind of hang out with you, and you can just enjoy your tea, enjoy your knitting. Cersei, or Cirque? Is it Cirque or Cersei? I can't remember, but I would love to read that one too. That's a cool cover too. She's got great covers. Cersei is one I'm going to read for sure, just based on her writing alone. Beautiful writing. She's great. Anyway, I'm going to place that at number 5. Number 4, we're going to go. Number 4, we're going to go Tender's the Flesh by, I'm going to screw this name up, Augustina Bazterrica. I know I'm really awful with names, but this is a book called Tender is the Flesh. This is kind of a horror gore novel. If you've never heard of this, definitely kind of look into it a smidge before you pick it up and give it a go if you're tempted to give it a go, because if you're not into horror, especially gore and just like mutilation and stuff like that, if you're not into like mutilation, like you're probably not, who's in, it's not like, anyway, yeah, I mean, but I thought this was really good. I love horror stuff, and this one I thought was so unique and so interesting, and I could not put it down. I read this in about a day and a half, just because I needed to see where it was going, and it's just it is awful. Like, it's the stuff that happens in this book is just so brutal. And if you look this up on Goodreads, it doesn't have the greatest rating, but I would say for a horror gore book, I think it's at like a 3.7, 3.8. And I would say that's pretty high for this type of style book that this is, because I've kind of noticed that horror books specifically don't get the greatest reviews on Goodreads. Goodreads is kind of weird in general, right? Like, it's a little weird. You got like, you got like Colleen Hoover books rated higher than Lord of the Rings. You know what I mean? It's a little weird. It's a little weird. But so this book, I can't really say a whole lot about it. It's about basically like human meat factories and kind of disassociating like a human being a person and just treating them as an animal. And basically it's kind of a unique look into meat, like a meat processing plant, but using humans instead of animals. And it's just an interesting look into how terribly the human race can treat each other. And it's interesting. I just finished watching that new World War II from the front lines documentary on Netflix. And, it's like, you kind of read it and you're like, wow, there's no way humans could do anything like this to each other. But then you watch stuff like, World War II documentaries and you're like, oh, wow, shit. Yeah, that we're pretty bad. We can be pretty bad. So, yeah, this is, really crazy read. I would say too, if you're going to give this a go, power through so that you can read the last line, the last sentence in this book. It will hit you like a ton of bricks. It's one of those last pages, last paragraphs, last sentences where you're like, oh, you know, it's pretty brutal. So yeah, I'm gonna put that at number 4, my number 4 favorite read of last year. I did quite enjoy that one. Moving on, guys. Thanks for being here. It's a cloudy day today. Not a lot of sunlight today. I live in Canada. And, whoa, you see that? Whoa. Is the light changing? The light in Canada is weird. Anyway, so, number 3. I actually kind of had these in order perfectly. I didn't really have to change up my thing. Number 3, we're going Mistborn, The Hero of Ages. Now, I was struggling to pick, of the 3 books, which one am I going to throw into my top 5 from 2022? And I wanted to put in The Well of Ascension because when I really think about it, The Well of Ascension was the one, when I look back, that I liked the most. But I think I got to go with The Hero of Ages, the first book in the Mistborn trilogy, because it is the book that kind of threw me into the fantasy world, made me kind of realize I can read fantasy and I love it. And this is what I like. And I just fell in love with these characters, you know what I mean? Vin, I think, is such a cool character. And Sazed is maybe the coolest character of all time, maybe. I know I've said this in a previous video, but I friggin' love Sazed. And just, I also said this in my other video, but I'll say it again. And to kind of explain what this book is, it's basically... in heist movies, when you got your team of guys, everybody's specialized in something, and you got to like rob a bank. This is kind of a fantasy version of that, where all of this crew has a task to do. They've all kind of got their specialities, and they got to make it happen. Great world building. Something that Brandon Sanderson does so well is magic systems. And I've heard a number of other people say this as well, and I couldn't agree more. The magic system was so unique, but so like... well told that like it was really easy to understand. I was like, wow, yeah. They're flipping coins and they're flying. Okay. It's just like, I got it. He's got a really great way of explaining magic systems, especially if you're new to fantasy. Mistborn's a great one to get into. It seems really intimidating, especially if you kind of just read what it's about. You're like, you might be like, but trust me, it's approachable and it's great. It's really good. Okay, so we're going to go in the top 2 here. For those that have been following my Instagram and TikTok for the last year and a bit, these top 2 picks are probably not going to come as much of a surprise. So we're going to jump into it. I'm going to give you my number 2, and then I'm going to say a lot of you in the how do you be a YouTuber? In the comments down below, before I say number 1, guess what you think number 1 is. After seeing number 2. So, number 2, favorite read of last year. I gotta make sure I'm hiding these. Ugh. Number 2 is going to be Misery by Stephen King. What a friggin' book this is. Let me put that into focus there. I think this cover is really cool. Just like perfectly minimal. Gives exactly the creepy vibes that you need for this book. This is a freaking killer book. I was between this and my number 1 pick. I was like, ugh. They really are 1A and 1B. But this, how do I describe this freaking book? If you've not read this and you want to read a masterpiece horror book that will just transport you into drug comas and like just paranoia and tension and claustrophobia, so perfectly, beautifully well done. This is the book, man. Misery by Stephen King. It is what are all the things? It's just so. And for those that don't know what this is about a writer named Paul Sheldon. Poor Paul. He is writing about this character named Misery, and he writes. You get the sense that they're kind of like Harlequin romance sort of style books. Not maybe not Harlequin romance. That's a weird comparison, but he writes this character named Misery. It's been a book series for a while, but Paul Sheldon is just sick of writing Misery. He feels like he's tied down to writing Misery books, and he just doesn't want to write them anymore. And he ends up getting in a car crash after finishing his, most recent book. And in his most recent book, this isn't a spoiler, but in his most recent book, Misery dies. He kills off Misery. Driving on a snowy road, gets in a car crash. The book basically starts at the car crash, so it's a little confusing at first because you're kind of like, whoa, what is happening? It's like very otherworldly the way it's written is. It's really cool. But yeah, so what was I saying? So yeah, so that happens, and then he basically gets trapped. This woman helps him sort of like get out of the car wreck, and she rescues him to her home, which is this abandoned home here. And she's a nurse, she's an ex-nurse, and she kind of nurses him back to health. And then Paul Sheldon finds out that this person is a Misery super fan, and like she's a little crazy too. So she's a crazy Misery super fan, and she's about to find out that she has the writer of her favorite character of all time immobile in her bed, and she's about to find out that he killed Misery, her favorite character. So what do you think's going to happen? It's just so brilliant. You know what I mean? It's Stephen King. Oh, sorry, Stephen King gets. I don't think he gets a lot of flack. Flack's probably the wrong word, but a lot of people do touch on the fact that he writes about writers a lot. I don't see any problem with that. He's a writer. It's what he knows. You know what I mean? That's probably why this book is so friggin' good. Yeah, just one of the Annie Wilkes. Sorry, I don't know if I mentioned, but the woman's name is Annie Wilkes. Probably my favorite horror character ever. Because the thing I love about her is she's not like a demon or like a ghost or a vampire or a goblin or anything like that. She's just a person. But she's terrifying. She is terrifying. The mood swings, like Paul Sheldon's life throughout this entire book basically depends on Annie Wilkes' mood swings, and just throwing yourself in a position like that, just think of how horrifying that is. You know what I mean? Pretty horrifying. Misery is my number 2 read of last year. Absolutely brilliant book. I wish I could read it again for the first time. I can't wait to read it for the second time, which I don't know when that's going to be, but hopefully soon. Killer one. Okay, so we're coming down to book number 1, my favorite read of last year. I would love to know what you think it's going to be. I bet a lot of you have guessed this correctly. We're going to bring it in here. You ready? Watcha! It is, of course, Pet Sematary by Stephen King. So again, if you are new here, Stephen King is my favorite author currently. He's pretty much been my favorite author since I read Misery. I just read that and I was like, what is this guy doing? You know what I mean? And I've since read about, I'm going to guess 16, 17-ish, somewhere in there, Stephen King books. And as I mentioned earlier in the video, currently reading The Stand, which is kind of the last big, top 10, top 15 in most lists anyways, Stephen King books that I need to read. And it's usually number 1 or 2, The Stand is, so I can't wait to... So far, it's just incredible. But yeah, so Pet Sematary is my number 1 read. This is the book that whenever anybody's like, hey, I really want to get into Stephen King, like, what do you recommend? This is the one that I always throw out because it is just so fun. There's something about this book that is just such a fun ride. I can't, if you see, what actually helped for me, too, is I had never seen Pet Sematary, the movie, which I know is weird. I've never seen the movie, and I actually didn't really have any idea or clue as to what this book was actually about. So I was going in pretty blind when I read this, and, I just fell in love with the characters. You know what I mean? I fell in love with the dad and the old man across the street and Gage and everybody, you know what I mean? I thought the way that Stephen King, brings his characters to life in his books is really his strong point. I feel like in a lot of his books, actually, the story can sometimes take a backseat to just characters doing random things. You know what I mean? Because he's so good at writing characters that you kind of just read on for them. But in the case of this one, the story is just as strong as the characters, and yeah, man, I just what can I say? It's, to give you like a brief description of what this is about. They move to a new house. There's this pet cemetery that kind of backs onto their house, and which is kind of creepy. And then there's this old man across the street that's, their cat dies. They live on a really busy road. Their cat dies. Churchill. That's Churchill the cat. And they go beyond the pet cemetery to this kind of ancient Indian burial ground. And the old man's kind of like, bury the cat here. Let's see what happens. And so he does, and then the next day the cat kind of strolls back up to the house, but it's a little like, the cat's a little like, little sickly, little graveyardy. You know what I mean? And then some things happen, and the morality is tested basically with the father character in this book, and he's got a very serious decision to make when something happens, and he makes the decision, and the rest is history. I know that's kind of a bit of a vague description of the book, but I don't want to give too much away, because if you haven't read Pet Sematary, you got to go read it, man. It's one of my favorite books of all time. Like I know I've only started reading last year, but of the 70 or so books that I've read so far, this is still in the top 5 and probably always will be. So yeah, I'm trying to think of what else I could say about it, but nothing else other than I love it. If you've never read Stephen King before, this is a great one to start with. You could start with Misery too, but Pet Sematary, you cannot go wrong. So that was my favorite read of last year. Thanks for watching this, guys. That was a fun one to kind of do. I'm really enjoying this YouTube thing, just kind of like hanging here and talking. It's nice to not have to be like cutting everything up, you know what I mean, and kind of worrying about that. So that's been really sweet. Do I have anything else I can show you? Not really. Not really. Oh, hey, check this out. Kayuli. Wait, I think I got a bookmark somewhere. Yeah, I got a bookmark somewhere. This is Kayuli here. I'm going to see if by any hope that will focus. Did that focus? Kayuli. Please check that guy out. He's awesome. Thanks, guys. Love you. Bye.